The Tailor's Apprentice. In West Brompton, where townhouses stand in a row, Tilly the tailor made fine garments to show. Her spacious boutique was a distinguished sight, with every color of silk, glowing ever so bright. Albeit she worked in the heart of the city, to overlook detail was considered a pity. Of course, she'd demonstrate skills superstandard, while most other shops were merely substandard. Her apprentice was Thora, a cat most loquacious, whose erratic high energy was truly vexatious. Albeit quite juvenile, vocal and bold, since her infancy stories of mischief were told. Tilly was lenient, tolerant and kind, though Thora was notorious for messing with twine. It's not surprising she'd ignore every sanction in this posh Kensington and Chelsea mansion. An enquiry arrived, an ultimate quest, to design a new gown for a snobbish young guest. "Are you for real?" Tilly asked with a stare, as she looked at the silk that was exceptionally rare. The itinerary was set. There was no room for error. The dire implication filled Tilly with terror. The stakes were quite high, on the verge of extreme. Under no circumstances shall I ruin this dream. The machine made a cacophonous, monotonous drone as the sibilant satin was stitched all alone. A relentless cacophony, tedious and long, akin to a repetitive industrial song. The work was not lackluster. She did not relent, with sufficient silk and a fragrant sweet scent. Tilly would assess and reassess every line, while Thora watched the needle, eyes golden and fine. Unfortunately, things then began to backfire, when Thora's curiosity rose even higher. She didn't intentionally sabotage the lace, but she inadvertently fell on her face. The gown went pear-shaped. It went down south fast, a horrendous malfunction that couldn't possibly last. The silk was all marred, the lace atrocious and sour, a big mistake made in a single dark hour. Tilly was livid. Her ire was quite clear. "This abysmal demise is the thing I most fear." The dress was a wreck, an eyesore, a mess, the last straw, she shouted in utter distress. She'd alienate Thora, who was reduced to tears, confronted by all of her ultimate fears. "How could you vandalize this precious work so? Under no circumstances can I let this go." "Back to square one," Tilly cried with dismay. "Back to the drawing board, starting today. It's bad enough that the fabric is torn, not to mention the pride that I've held since I'm born." She had no phobia of hard work, but the situation was dire, as if someone had added more fuel to the fire. "Stuff and nonsense," she muttered, resisting arrest, determined to finish her very best quest. Thora felt petulant, then slightly reluctant, as she watched the poor tailor so grim and conductant. She'd mimic a helper, reticent and shy, with a look of regret in her golden cat eye. She'd retrieve a lost needle, she'd jump to the shelf, rather than just thinking of her feline self. She'd intervene softly to cease all the strife and help Tilly bring this new gown back to life. Initially, Tilly was quite hesitant to trust, but to finish the gown was an absolute must. The former was focused, the latter was keen, the most exemplary duo that ever was seen. They'd collaborate, engage, and work through the night, until the light at the end of the tunnel was bright. The result was distinguished, superior and grand, the finest couture in the whole of the land. Ironically, Thora's unintentional error, which initially filled Tilly's spirit with terror, had led to a gown that was beyond compare, with a scent of success in the West Brompton air. They'd maintain their bond, and they'd never more bicker, while the light in the shop would continue to flicker. So if you are ever in Kensington, do pop in to see the best tailor and her cat with a grin.